Hello, it's June. It's really, really sunny outside. My face is all red and my eyes are all tired because I sat in a very sunny beer garden after walking over a very sunny beer fest. My dog seems to find this very boring. And today we're doing the mid-year book freakout tag. So this is a tag that we all get together to do in the middle of the year to sort of reflect on our reading a little bit, maybe also have some pointers towards what we still want to do in the next half of the year, and just talk about some books, basically. And we're going to leap right in with the very best book that you read so far in 2023. And unfortunately, I can't show you this book. It's a very slim little novel, maybe even novella, called Foster by Claire Keegan. This is set, I believe, in the 80s in rural Ireland. And in this, we follow a young girl who is basically sent off to her aunt and uncle, who serve as foster parents for the summer because her mother is expecting another child and they already don't have that much money. And it is small but mighty. This book you can read in a setting. And I guess the amazing thing is that this book combines two things that I usually don't like. I usually don't like stories centered around younger children. It's not a perspective I enjoy that much. I either find them written inappropriately precocious and beyond their years, or appropriately depicting their age, but then that's a too young gaze that I'm not interested in. And yet I loved Foster. Also, I don't like novellas, and I think one could actually classify this as one. I'm not sure what the rules on a novella are, but Foster by Claire Keegan is at the same time so sad, this unloved young girl, and also so moving because you see how she slowly, over the course of this summer, finds out, feels, experiences how people can approach her in a more loving manner. Very, very beautiful, and so far my favorite book, most highly rated book as well of the year 2023. Question number 2, best sequel that you read in 2023. I only read one sequel and I didn't think it was very good. I read The Heart Principle by Helen Huang, which is sort of a sequel. It's like a book in a romance series. You can read all of them individually. I didn't think it was that good. So instead of talking about that, I will talk about The City We Became, which isn't a sequel, but it is the first in a series that I read this year and thought was so cool. We have these different avatars personifying boroughs of New York City. And it was so fun. It's like a Marvel movie, basically. I like N.K. Jemisin as well. I read her Broken Earth trilogy and thought that was excellent. Unmatched, almost. I'm not a big fantasy reader, and I found that a challenging read that was really worthwhile. But I'm talking about The City We Became. This is way more fun and poppy and easier to understand, and I really, really liked it. A new release that I haven't read yet but want to is Looking Glass Sound by Catriona Ward. I started my year with Sundial by Catriona Ward. I believe that was my very first book of the year, and I thought that was okay, but nothing amazing. This I found in the horror section of the bookshop, and I don't know too much about it. I'm not even going to pretend because I really don't know anything about it. The reason why I want to read this is that this is going to be a buddy read with Anna over at Novelishniestra and another friend who I've never had a buddy read with. I regularly do buddy reads with Anna, but not the other. And I'm really excited that we are going to do a trio buddy read, and I think that is a great reason to read this book and why I want to read it. Also, I got this big trade paperback and I don't actually like them, so I gotta justify the fact that I did buy this more expensive book. Fourth question, most anticipated book for the second half of the year. And I've not been following these that much. I've been following new releases in the sort of first few months of the year, and then my interest petered off a little. So I'm going to say The Winners by Frederick Backman, which won't be a new release. It was already released a year ago, but The Winners is the third in this Beartown series. Beartown is the first, Us Against You is the second, and I want the paperback that will fit with the series. So that is why I'm waiting for The Winners, which I guess will be the end. I think this is supposed to be a trilogy, and I'm waiting for the publication of that paperback and not the large format trade paperback or the hardcover even. So I'm just going to go with that. That's a release that I'm really looking forward to, and I think that should be in a few days, or it's probably already out when you watch this video. 5, the biggest disappointment so far this year has been I Want to Die But I Want to Eat Tteokbokki by Bashahi, is that the author's name? And I just really don't get the hype. This is a non-fiction book published, translated from a South Korean book. And in this, the author, who is a young woman, talks about her experiences, years of psychotherapy. And I thought this was so surface level and cliche, and the tone was really not unpolished, because like rawness would have been good, but it wasn't raw. It was just really simple, and as if the chapters had to fit keywords in for like an SEO search online blog entry. I don't know, like I really didn't like it. I only finished it because I had the book out from the library and I was sitting outside reading it near the library, planning to return it. So I just decided, well, it's nice sitting here. I'll just read through it and then bring it back, drop it off at the library. But I just really didn't think that was good. So that was my biggest disappointment. And my biggest surprise, which, oh, I forgot, should be standing somewhere on my bookshelves, oh well, is Always Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. I loved this book, and this is my biggest surprise purely because I read this for like an online book club and I wasn't expecting much. I went in pretty blind, and in this story we follow 2 women and how their relationship develops once the one woman returns from a deep sea excursion months later than planned. She comes back changed, and her wife, who's been at home waiting for her, thinking she had been lost or died or something, then has to readapt to her returning, but returning changed. And it is such a surreal book that totally works though, told in, I think, alternating chapters from the point of view of the one woman and the other. And it is a sad love story, and I think those might be the best stories, period. And I thought it was really good, and that's why I was really surprised, because I went in pretty blind. My favourite new author, I'm saying, is Claire Keegan, because I absolutely adored Foster. I loved Small Things Like These, is that what it's called, which I read in December, and she still has so many more books to discover as well, which is a great thing. I'm just saying she's a new favourite author, even though I've only read 2 books, so hopefully I didn't jinx it. But I think she is probably really an amazing voice in Irish literature today, and I'm excited to read more by her. Question number 8 asks us for our newest fictional crush, which I'm gonna give a weird answer for, because fictional crushes don't really exist for me. But Pignon, the dog, that belongs to Greta, the protagonist in Jen Biggins' Big Swiss, is an amazing dog. I love dogs in books. And he is this plucky character who is just thinks he's bigger than he is, and he's feisty, but he's not a like cliche badly behaved dog. He just accompanies his really quite lonely, aimless, borderline depressed 40-year-old owner Greta, whilst she makes a bit of a mess of her life. And I loved him. So a dog is my new fictional crush. I do, however, have a slightly better answer for my newest favourite literary figure or favourite character, and that is Bessa from She Would Be King. This is a fantasy, historical fiction. Oh, see, I don't even know how to categorize this in terms of genres, which is a good thing. Rietu Moore writes this story following 3 characters, but mainly Bessa, our main protagonist, in this genre blending novel set sort of on the cusp of the formation of Liberia, and Bessa is seen as a witch in her community and exiled, and she is such a cool character because she has so much power. I mean, she would be king, but because she grew up removed from other people and not interacting with children and not playing, and she's been taught to be solitary and introverted, she also, once she re-enters the community, wants to fit in. So she's not like the other girls. She is so much more of a nuanced character than you usually read in these types of stories. So I was so impressed, and I was cheering her on every step of the way. I wanted her to show the middle finger to everyone who stood in her way, and this is a really empowering book, and Bessa is one of my favorite characters that I read about this year, and also within the last few years, actually. Book that made me cry, gonna say Foster. Read it. I can't come up with more questions that Foster will fit, but books that made you cry, Foster. Not like rivers of tears, but like a moist eye. I haven't read many tearjerkers really this year. I think I might like to. I don't know, but maybe I'll also read more books that make me happy, one of which is Legends and Latte by Travis Baldree. Everyone knows about this. Maybe not everyone has read this. The people who haven't read this will say that they're not into fantasy and they don't want to read about an orc starting their own coffee shop. And that's valid, but maybe give it a try anyway if you want to pick me up, because this is a very happy, nice book, which isn't anything life-altering, but I read this, I think, also in January. I hate January, just blanket statement. It's cold. Don't have Christmas to look forward to anymore. No one has like twinkly fairy lights up anymore, and spring is far away, and Legends and Lattes helped. The most beautiful book that I got this year, I could talk about many beautiful books, but I will feature Eva-Lisa Manners' Das Mädchen auf der Himmelsbrücke, translated from Finnish. Oh, apparently Eno doesn't think this is a pretty book. The English translation of this is A Girl Upon Heaven's Pier, and I will skip the Finnish title because that's not going to help you. And the reason why I think this is so beautiful, just the illustrations of this botanical motif, I think is very, very gorgeous. But I also think there is something very special about buying books published by independent publishers. And Gugolz is a small independent German publishing house, and which focuses on publishing sort of forgotten classics from Northern and Eastern Europe, and they translate them again and like work very closely with the translators. And I think just so it's not only beautiful on the outside, but I think also the thought that goes into the publication of these books is really beautiful as well. And in this small Finnish novel, again, we actually have the perspective of a young girl called Lena, who feels very alone and I think sort of finds resolve in classical music. So I am looking forward to reading this. And finally, the last question is, which books do you have to read by the end of the year? Do you need to read? And you don't need to read anything. This is all for fun, like no pressure. But I'll show you 3 books briefly that all don't belong to me. So I've decided, instead of showing you a selection of my unread books, of which there are many, I will show you the 3 books that I found on my shelves that come from other people, and it would be polite to return them at some point. I have Der Markisenmann by Jan Weiler, which is a German novel that I believe hasn't been translated yet, because it was out this year in German. No, that's not true. 2021 in Germany. Oh. In this, our 15-year-old protagonist gets forced to move to her father's, who she doesn't know. And it's about their relationship, and he sells, what's the English word for these? Like marquees? Umbrellas? A marquee in England is something else than a marquise in German, right? That doesn't seem right. Well, on that tangent, goes well with my top, and belongs to my boyfriend's mum. So I should return that. My mum gave me Brood by Jackie Polson, which is a novel about women taking care of chickens. We both kind of thought this would be non-fiction, and I think I would have preferred that, and my mum also didn't love this, but I think something about chickens, I think chickens are the new thing. I think there's been a lot of birds on books, like swallows or birds of prey or owls. I think chickens, you heard it here first. I think chickens are going to be the new big thing. And then we have Once There Were Wolves, which Anna gave me to read, and I think I will love this. I think this is set in Scotland, and we follow a woman who I think takes care of or makes sure that this wolf pack is sort of rewilded, and then some deaths occur and people point fingers towards the wolves. I think there's like a bit of a like mystery theme in this as well, which might make it quite page turnery. I'm also hoping for some excellent like nature descriptions of Scotland, and I think Anna would like this back at some point as well. So those 3 are books that I really should read this year. What have your favourite books been so far this year? Tell me, let me know whether you like dogs in books. Let me know whether chickens are in fact the next new thing. Maybe also give me some recommendations for independent publishing houses that do like literary fiction, very pretty, you know, that's what I like. I hope you're having a great time reading some good books, and I will see you very soon. Bye.